I will mention, so Laura will be presenting today. She will be presenting on getting social media to work for you. And I will give it all to Laura at this point.
Hello, hello. Thank you all for joining me. I'm super excited to be here with you all. And my name is Laura Power. Karita introduced me. Thank you so much. I am the Dean of Arts and Humanities at McHenry County College, and I used to be an instructor of English, composition primarily, and creative writing. What I have is a presentation just to kind of go through some elements of ways that using social media could work for you for advertising yourself, promoting yourself, and making connections and networking. But I also want to make sure that I have time to answer any questions that you have. So I am going to see how this works. Now, if we have any glitches, can you all see this? Yeah, okay. If it totally fails, we will stop it because I don't want it to be a hiccup. But there are a couple of polls that I'll be asking you questions. And if you want to, you can participate and kind of type in your answers as well. If there are any questions throughout, please don't hesitate to just shout out. There are so few of us, so I think that would be just fine. If you had a question and just wanted to chat, please feel free to do that. I will say though that I currently don't have the chat window open on my Zoom sharing. So if you type something into the chat, I will absolutely look at it once we're kind of done with the meat of the presentation, but I may not see it right away. So what I wanted to do is just explain a little bit about why I'm doing this presentation. So in my role currently as the Dean of Arts and Humanities, I work with students a lot and I want students to succeed. I'm also on a lot of hiring committees here at the college, from everything for part-time staff who are coming in at the college to full-time positions, administrative positions, high level, as well as faculty positions. So I do a lot of interviewing and I do a lot of looking at resumes. So if you have any questions about that, I'm happy to answer. And because I'm on a lot of hiring committees, I check out social media of the candidates who are applying for positions. And as I was asking folks about to do a little research for this presentation, I asked a lot of people what their practices were for when they were hiring, when they were looking at candidates for jobs. And I'm not alone. Everybody that I asked said that they do take a look at candidate social media. So that should be something, if you're not aware of right now, you should definitely be aware of because it is happening. I'm also somebody though who uses social media for just myself. I use it for my own personal reasons. And every once in a while, I will use it in a professional way. I will use it to promote things that are happening at the college. I'll use it to promote classes. I did not use it to promote this workshop because I only just saw about 30 minutes ago the posting on the student life activity page. And I said, oh, I don't know if anybody with 30 minutes is going to have the time. So I didn't post it there. But that's kind of why I'm here. And what I wanted to do is talk about the ways that you can use social media to benefit yourself, because I think there are lots and lots of ways that you can do that. Before we get started though, okay, so here's where this hopefully will work. I wanted to ask you a question about how you're currently using social media. Now, is there a way that you guys can respond? Give me a thumbs up if anybody sees a way to respond. And Ashley, currently you're the only person that I see with my eyeballs. Is it not working? Is it working?
When we have it open on our web browser, there's like a little answer here, text box on the right-hand side of the screen.
Ooh, excellent.
It might even look a little different because mine showed there's like a show answer at the bottom of my screen. And I guess it might depend on how you're.
Oh, God. Okay. So for anybody who's just joined, if you want to follow along the presentation, you can go to this website, joinpd.com. And then you can type in our little code here, and you should see, I wonder if I can also, I'm going to do this too. Oh, thank you, Karina, for putting that in there. And I wonder if that will work as well. I just put something in the chat that might also work. Oh, you guys are so good. Okay, can you see the responses? Yes.
Did my response? Oh yeah, it's right there.
Oh yeah, can you see it? Perfect.
Yeah, no, thank you. Okay.
Excellent. Good. Okay, so you all are using LinkedIn. So we have personal branding. I love that. We're going to talk about that. Facebook. A lot of people are still using Facebook for groups to connect with family members. I've kind of stopped using it, but I know that's the only place that my brother posts pictures of his kids. So if I want to see my nephews, that's where I have to go. Anybody else using it for anything? I'll give you a second to kind of reply. And I will put on, okay, it's working. Oh, oh. All right. What we're going to talk about for using social media. Oh, you know what? Sorry, I have another one. Okay, so now I have a new question. How do you think it could work for you? Think about the career that you're planning on going into, or the thing that you're thinking about studying, or think about if you have, I don't know, it's kind of a corny term to use, but a side hustle. Do you make anything? Do you do anything on the side, outside of school, outside of your career, that you could use social media to promote? And take a second and answer that one. Yeah, networking is a perfect answer. Selling flipped thrift clothes, that is a great way to use social media. Making connections, branding myself, and creating my own small business. I have examples of ways that you can do all of these. So yes, these are excellent. Oh, good. You guys are so smart already. I knew it. Okay, I'm going to hide the responses. So there are 4 ways that I really wanted to focus on using social media to help yourself when it comes to your career, when it comes to getting yourself out there. Again, whether it's something that you wanted to do for work or whether it's kind of a side interest that you have. Promotion, branding, networking, and then finally, the idea of vetting or looking into the background of employees. Whether you are someone who is looking for a job, so you are the potential employee, or if you're ever in a position to hire anyone, it just may be interesting for you to think about ways that you can use social media to find new people to bring onto your team, or to take a look at candidates and what they're putting out there for the public. So this first thing I wanted to look at and talk about was promotion. The 3 images that I have up here from left to right are from an illustrator, a young man who is actually an alum of McHenry County College, a former student of mine. His name is Andy Ciasco, and we're going to hear a little bit or read a little bit about what he has to say in just a second. In the middle is a tattoo artist, a woman named Jennifer Trock. And over on the right is a woman who is a maker. She makes jewelry. She is based in Milwaukee. Jennifer Trock, the tattoo artist, in the middle, she's in Chicago. And Andy, the MCC alum, is in San Francisco. All 3 of these people are artists and business people in a certain way, and they all use social media to promote what they are doing. The women here on this slide, I wanted to mention that during the pandemic, both of them had to use social media in really different ways. Samantha Andrea, the jeweler, who has the image over here on the far right, because there were no longer fairs, craft shows, artisan fairs, and things that brought a whole bunch of people together to buy goods and wares that makers created, which is something that happens a lot in cities. We every once in a while we'll do one at MCC where you have a whole bunch of people come together and they're selling, the goods that they make. Because the pandemic and the shelter in place had shut everything down in the spring, she was no longer able to do that. And so what she and some fellow makers did was have a virtual fair, a virtual artisan craft fair, and they sold things using primarily social media to promote the selling of those things. So it was something where they would just post images of products that they were selling in their stories, and then you would just send them a DM and say, yep, I want that thing. And it was kind of first come, first serve. I actually bought a pair of her earrings and they were great. Jennifer Chalk here in the center is a tattoo artist, and I'm going to pull up something that I'm going to pull up her Instagram feed. And when the pandemic happened, Jennifer was no longer able to tattoo because it wasn't safe to do so at the time. And so what she did, I'm going to pull up a secondary page over here. She posted a lot of her work on this secondary website, a company called Society 6, where you can create patterns, art patterns using drawings, and you can then take those patterns and put them on anything you want: mouse pads, rugs, phone cases, anything, notebooks, prints. And so what Jennifer had to do was take a lot of her art and put it onto secondary items in order to make a living. And she used Instagram in order to do this. Andy, I'm going to pull up his feed as well on Instagram because I want to take a look at his story. So this is Andy Ciasco's feed. And what Andy does is he posts pictures of his cat, always appreciated. He sells books. He publishes books and he puts them for sale primarily on Instagram as well as on Etsy. And he uses Instagram and I think he still has a Tumblr page to promote these things. And really, this is how he makes a living. He's an illustrator. He did go to art school after he left MCC. He also posts videos of himself creating art live, kind of sped up videos. So this is a way for him to connect with his audience and potential audiences in order to sell the things that he is creating. And he has gotten quite good at it. What Andy says, if you're interested in doing something like this, he kind of gave me 3 ways that he thinks about using social media. He said the first thing is to find your audience. He said that sometimes this can take a really long time, sometimes years. He said the majority of his work, it falls into the horror genre, but that doesn't mean that every horror fan who's on Instagram, because that's what his primary accounts are on, or his primary social media is on. He said not everybody is a fan of illustration. So he has to kind of figure out who is not only a fan of horror things, but who's a fan of art and illustration, and who are those people that want to not only follow him, but buy his prints and buy his original drawings. So he has to look for that core group of people, and he said it does take a long time. After that, he recommends focusing on quality and consistency. What he likes to do is focus a specific amount of time in which he can interact with his followers. And he said that he makes sure to do that at least a couple of hours every day, because if he's not devoting time to talking to them, answering questions about his work and posting, people will forget about his account. And the best way that he can do that is to keep up a consistent amount of postings so that people are always expecting that they're going to see something new when they go to his accounts. He also said, though, that takes a huge amount of time. He said it's really like a full-time job in and of itself. So if you are going to do something like this to use to promote yourself, you should expect to spend a big chunk of time doing it, and make sure that that chunk of time is consistent, at least over weeks and months as you're first starting to gather followers. He also recommended throwing your work everywhere is what he said. He felt that getting your work out on a variety of different platforms, he uses Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, and he said put it everywhere. I heard from other people who felt a different way about that. They said that they only used the platforms that felt most comfortable to them, because if they had platforms that they were using but weren't being consistent with posting their work, their images, their videos, just because they didn't like the way it, the user navigation part of it, then having that account was almost worse than not having it, because it was just kind of a dead account. So if you prefer Snapchat, if you prefer TikTok, if you prefer Instagram, what I would recommend is use all of the ones that you prefer, and then just get in that consistent habit of posting things to make them visible. So those were the things that Andy had to say about promotion specifically. And then I also wanted to talk a little bit about a brick and mortar shop. Is anybody, and just kind of give me a thumbs up, or say, oh, everybody say, oh, at the same time. Is anybody interested in opening a shop, an actual store, whether that is the three that I have here? Shop Ursa on the left-hand side is a store called Ursa that sells kind of home goods and gifts. The center image is from a hair salon and barber shop called the Bevy Salon. And then the one all the way on the right is a plant shop called Plant Shop Chicago. Is anybody thinking about going into business and maybe opening up a physical space for themselves? No, that's okay. If you ever are, these might be some things that you can think about. It's another good way to get a little bit of promotion if you did want to open up a shop, or if you had somebody that you're working with. A woman named Audrey Sika owns and operates this hair salon called the Bevy. And her advice and what she found the most helpful about using social media is that she can communicate her personal aesthetic with a variety of people who may be potential customers, or they may just be people who follow her. And at first she thought that was kind of weird that she was gaining followers from people who are not in Chicago, because she is a brick and mortar hair salon in the city of Chicago. So she thought, okay, if you're following me and you're in San Francisco, why? You're never going to come and get your hair done. So why are you following me? But she realized that just those people sharing stories, sharing posts about haircuts, looks that she's putting on, color jobs, whatever it is that they're doing, that can gain them traction. And the followers could certainly come back around, and they could then be people in Chicago, or people who are visiting from San Francisco and say, ooh, I need a shop in Chicago to get my hair done. Where am I going to go? And they might follow her. So she felt that putting out that aesthetic using social media, specifically Instagram for her, because it was a way for her to share images. Other social media, we'll talk a little bit about, are different ways where you can, of course, share more words or videos. But she felt that this was really going to help her draw in the kind of client that she wanted, and potentially the kinds of clients for the future. If you were a hairstylist too, or again, if you were an independent contractor, independent person who didn't have a brick and mortar shop, but you still had things to share, pictures of hair that you're cutting, hair that you're styling, or anything else, again, social media would be a really good way to promote yourself. All right, so branding. A few of you guys mentioned personal branding in the question at the very beginning, and that is an excellent use of social media if you want to promote a personal brand that you have. And this can help you get a job. It can also just help you get some recognition, and it may not be directly tied to what you're doing, but it can sometimes help you connect to the people that you're working with. And I'm going to show you an example of that in just a minute. The three images that I have here, the one on the left is a TikTok video that kind of gained a lot of fame back in the spring, and it's very silly. If we have time at the end, I'll show it because it's just kind of fun and silly. The center one, though, is a woman named Heather Morehouse. She goes by the handle Makeup Mouse, and she does avant-garde makeup. And sometimes she does realistic makeup as well. But branding herself as this person who is an artist and uses makeup as a way of expressing herself, she's been able to get quite a lot of notoriety, and she uses both Instagram and TikTok to share videos. The image over on the right is from a guy named Daniel Newman, who is a friend of mine, and Daniel makes tabletop games. Is anybody in the gaming club at MCC? We have a gaming club. If you want to join it, talk to Megan Scanlon. And what Daniel does is design his own games, but when he started doing this, he had no experience. He liked to play tabletop games and sometimes role-playing games, but he studied architecture and he was not at all, he didn't know what he was doing. And so he used Twitter to connect with other people who were making games and who were going to like game cons and sharing their work. And he slowly started to connect with people, learn a little bit about what he needed to do. And then he started making games, and now he's had 2 games published and made. So a company is actually producing the game that he designed and they're selling it. And really all he did was just brand himself as somebody who is interested in making, designing, and selling games. And he worked at it. And a couple years later, that's what he's doing. So it can definitely be something that is useful for you. I wanted to show you though, does anybody know Sophia Bella? Or not personally, although who knows, maybe. Does anybody know her personally? That would be amazing. She is on TikTok and she really just posts primarily videos of dancing videos, which is like, I don't know, 95% of what TikTok is. At least that's like what I see it and use it for, because it's just really fun. But she's also a teacher. And I'm going to kind of show you guys her TikTok video here. Oops. Wait a minute. I want to make sure you guys can hear that. Could you guys hear that? A little bit.
Mhm.
I think that when I did my share, I didn't share the computer sound. So I'm going to do that now.
Go ahead, ask your question.
How's that? Better? Okay, good.
good.
Okay, so she teaches little
ones.
I'm not exactly sure what grade, but kindergarten, first grade. Like she's a teacher, elementary school teacher. And she though posts videos, dancing videos. So when she uses her TikTok account, it is both for doing dance videos and for virtual learning and remote learning. And she got this question from one of her students, and she posted this video, and it's really, really sweet. So I'm gonna play it.
I saw your TikTok. Awesome.
Who said that?
Leo.
Oh, hi, Leo. That's awesome. I'm so glad. That's so cool.
Renegade.
What are you singing?
Renegade song.
Oh my gosh, that's my favorite.
Renegade. Renegade. Renegade.
Where'd you learn the Renegade from?
You?
From me?
Yeah. Mommy
What?
said you're on the TV and then you're doing TikTok.
What?
He showed me your TikToks you did.
Oh, wow.
I've been knowing that.
We're gonna...
All right, so it's just cute. But what
Laura?
yeah.
There's an echo when you speak.
Has that been the whole time?
No, just once you started playing the video.
Let's try this again. How's that? Is that okay? Perfect. I wonder if it was because I was doing my computer share. So what she did, it's just cute. And she was able to connect with her students just in a different way. Because, I mean, they're not old enough to have their own TikTok accounts. And they're certainly not following her TikTok videos, but one of the moms is. And she's
Laura, sorry, it's back again.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Hold on. How's that? Is that better? Okay.
Yes. Yep, good.
Okay, perfect. So this is definitely a way that you can brand yourself as different things. things. You don't have to stay in one specific lane. Now, I would certainly say that spreading yourself too thin may dilute some of that. So try to be a little bit particular, but this is a great example of somebody who's gained a lot of notoriety on TikTok specifically, but it's something that she uses for not just promotion of herself, but also promotion of teaching, which is kind of fun. All right. Some of you also mentioned networking to use for social media, which I think is hugely important. And this is a way that you can start to use social media if you don't quite yet have an idea of exactly what you're going to do for your career, for your job, or if you're not right now looking for a job or looking for an internship or any of that. Networking can be a way for you to get to know people who are experts in the field, whatever field it is that maybe you want to study in, or that you're looking to go and follow a career path in. These two accounts, this one on the left-hand side is an account I follow on Twitter. The name is maybe not safe for work, but it is a group of women who teach political science at four-year universities, and they call themselves the Poli-Sci Bitches. And they all have the same, they share an account, so they're all kind of posting and they're anonymous. And they're just mostly fun and mostly sharing things that are enjoyable and funny and humorous from things that are happening to them in the classroom. But they also post things that they're doing research on, that they're publishing, things that are happening in political science that other academics in their field may be interested in looking into. So following them is just a way to kind of connect with other academics. And on the right-hand side is an account called Faculty of Horror, because I used to teach a class that was learning community, and it was paired with a film class, and my class was a writing class, and all we wrote about were horror movies. And so I love horror movies, I adore them, and any time that I can learn about new ways to think about, write about, teach about horror movies, I'm totally in. So there's a Twitter account, Faculty of Horror. I had a student who graduated from MCC in May of 2019. And she took about a year off because she was going to transfer and is transferring to the University of Illinois. She wants to study English literature, but she needed to save a little bit more money. So she took a year off. And she asked me for some advice when she was connecting with her professors at U of I. And I told her, look to see who has social media accounts, because all of your faculty, if they're savvy, especially for Twitter, they will be posting things about what they're working on, things, again, that they're publishing, that they're researching, things that they're interested in, readings that they're doing, that they're going to, conferences that they're attending. And if you're interested in going into those fields, connecting with them in that way, even if you're just following them and not really engaging with them except as an observer, it can allow you to get to know what are the publications that you as a young scholar should be reading? What are some things that you should be looking into? Is there a convention in the area that you think might be valuable for you to look into going, or looking at who else is going to be doing maybe a public speaking engagement later on? So doing networking, Twitter is excellent for this. It's a really, really good idea. So I would use networking certainly for things like that. Vetting is the fourth thing that I wanted to mention. And vetting means to look at the background and investigate someone's whole self. It's talked a lot about, it's a term that's used a lot about used a lot in political situations. When you think about the Supreme Court justice that was just confirmed, they vetted her. So they looked into her background, looked at all of the proceedings that she had resided over, and they looked in to see, are there any skeletons in the closet? What are we getting into? And in the day and age that we're in right now, you should expect that any employer that you are looking to get a job with is going to be looking you up. That is something that's just happening. Expect it and be aware of it. What I wanted to do was, when I was putting this together, was to get a sense from some folks that I knew in a variety of areas of what they expected when they looked at potential employees, when they were looking at their social media accounts, and what they liked to see, what they didn't like to see, or if they had any opinion about it at all. So I asked some people, and actually before I get into what they said, I wanted to say that every single person I asked said that they had no problem if they looked somebody up and saw that all of their social media accounts were on private. They said that was not a red flag. That was actually something that sometimes they preferred, and they always thought that that was a really good idea. So if you're ever concerned that putting your social media accounts on private will be seen as something that's like you're hiding, don't worry about that. People think that that is just fine and totally appropriate. The first person that I talked to is a woman named Erica Trumbull. She is an electrical engineer. She works at a company called Kimberly-Clark in Wisconsin. And she does hiring. And what she looked at what she thought about was definitely looking at social media. She says that whatever she does find on social media had an impact on the way she viewed that candidate, whether it was conscious and she was super aware of it, or whether it was not at all. She was, again, though, somebody who said if someone has their social media accounts, whether it's their Facebook or their Instagram or whatever, if they have them on private, she did not think that that was a problem. In fact, she said she would much rather have that than open somebody's Instagram and see something that was like super work inappropriate, that was just live, public, out there in the world. I also asked the president of the Field Foundation of Illinois, she's my sister-in-law, so I had access to her, a woman named Angelique Power, and she does a lot of hiring. And what the Field Foundation does is give money to primarily artists and creative people who are working and needing a little bit of money. Maybe they are a multimedia artist and they're looking to get a bunch of work done, but they don't have any money to do it. Art, if you're looking to go into art, please do, but know that you are not going to make a lot of money, but you can apply for grants. And what the Field Foundation does is give grants to people who are making art. Primarily, what they look at is work that is work by Black, people of color, Indigenous artists, and underrepresented groups. So that is where this foundation focuses their energy. So in addition to hiring people, what Angelique Power does is give money to people. And the money that she gives to people needs to be representative of what the foundation stands for. So it's a different kind of hiring. And what she said was that a brand, if she sees a young person or a person who has some social media that's brand specific and they're branding themselves, if she said that if it resonates across audiences and appeals to a variety of different people, she felt that that was really sophisticated and really appealing, and she liked that a lot. But again, she said that if an account was private, that was not a problem. She thought it was great because she felt that then there was a boundary and there was kind of some things that were private, some things that were public, and she didn't think that that was a problem. She also, though, did have a red flag because I asked everybody if they had some pet peeves or things that they looked at that were like, oh, no, I would never hire that person. And she said that anybody who used offensive language colloquially, which just means regularly, they didn't think about it, it was just part of their everyday regular talking or posting or videos, accounts, whatever, she found that to be a major problem and stayed away from them whenever she saw that happen, which I thought was really interesting. Not surprising. Okay, so this is my last question for you guys. If we start to think about social media and using it to help ourselves when it comes to looking for a job, branding ourselves, networking with people who are experts in the field, people we want to get to know, is there any way that any of this could go wrong? This is so much fun. I can see you as you're typing. I might use this more. I don't know. I want to ask you guys when we're done what you think of it. I won't watch you as you're typing. That seems actually stressful. I'll wait till you're done. And Ashley's like, yes, it is. Stop looking at me while I'm typing.
I'm done.
You are, okay. Now I'm going to look at it. Thank you. Having no distinction between a private life and a work life, I think that's a really good way that it could go wrong. It might make sense to have a private account and a public account. Things that you share in your private account are just for close friends, just for family. And then you have kind of a branded work one. Or as long as you're making those, being really clear, like if I post this on Instagram and my boss sees it, because if you have a public account, even if you don't think they could ever see it, they will. Just like, you forward an email that you don't intend somebody to read, odds are they get it somehow. It just finds its way to them. It's like Murphy's Law. So yeah, having that distinction I think is really good. Your personal lifestyle can be seen as how you would portray yourself at work. And you're right, that could be really problematic. If the young woman that we looked at, who's the teacher and posts on TikTok the dance videos, if her administration or fellow teachers looked at that and for some reason felt that that was inappropriate, even though I've looked at a lot of her videos, there's nothing that I see that's at all inappropriate. But she uses Bad Bunny as one of her favorite musicians, and he uses explicit lyrics. So there could be somebody who says, yeah, using explicit lyrics in a dance video, that's inappropriate. So yeah, you could definitely see where that could be a little tricky. I have just a few tips. I did not want to focus today's talk on things just don't do, because that's not fun. But I did have a couple of tips, and maybe one of them is don't share something that you wouldn't want your boss to see. They will find it. They will see it. If it's out there in the public, especially if you ask yourself, okay, if my boss, a future employer, or if it helps you, if my grandma saw this or if my mom saw this and I don't want them to see it, don't post it. Create a private account for private posts if you're really worried about that separation, and just get comfortable with the feeling and the knowledge that a potential employer is definitely going to be looking at your social media. They will Google you, they will see what pops up. And if you don't want them to see anything, just make everything private. And there's no harm. There's no harm in that at all. And with those 3 tips and a whole lot of talking, I probably talked your heads off. What questions? Here's another TikTok. TikTok is so much fun, you guys. This woman has the greatest fashion videos. And this one was how to dress up your sweatpants, which I need. I wear a lot of sweatpants, guys. What questions do you have? What do you want to know? What do you want to talk about? And now I can see the chat. If you want to chat, if you want to type something, if that's easier, please feel free to do that.
I have no questions. It was honestly a great session, and it made me think, like, I'm trying to like find my Instagram. I'm like, what does my Instagram look like? Am I posting anything under here that I mean, even like my profile picture, I don't know if you guys can see it. I just have 6 posts on here.
Oh, that's perfect. That's beautiful.
And I put she, her, hers. That's my bio. But my profile picture is not appropriate. I gotta change it.
It looks appropriate, but it's very tiny.
I know, it's so tiny. I don't have my glasses on either. It's just my tongue sticking out. I think maybe you can see it.
Well, that's not wrong. It's
not like bad. Like I'm not like naked on here, but I mean like still not professional. It's not LinkedIn appropriate. So, I might change that. Some other stuff. But yeah.
Even if it just gets you thinking about it, I think that's good. Because you guys may not be in a place right now where you're really looking for a very professional job or anything like that, but you will be, at some point. And you can use it to your advantage. You really can.
Even as like we're applying for schools, because a lot of MCC students, they're transferring and stuff. And I've noticed I filled out an application and one of the colleges said like, put in your social media profiles. I was like, what?
Oh, I haven't seen that yet. That's so interesting.
Yeah, it was surprising me. I can't believe they're doing that now.
What school? Do you mind if I ask?
I think it was Lake Forest College in Illinois, a small liberal arts school.
Interesting. Okay, so that's then, yeah, before you hit send on that application, make everything private. Or
right.
just, you know, vet it if it depends on what you want.
Yeah.
That's so interesting that they're asking for that.
I was gonna say I just applied to Illinois State and they asked that too.
They did.
Yeah.
Huh.
I have a question though.
Yeah.
I like use my Instagram because I really like thrifting and I find pieces and I have like a separate account that I sell them on, but I use like mine to like promote it, and I'm more of like a posting all like my travel adventures and like outfit kind of stuff and like with my friend. And it does work because I get like I get the annoying spam bots that are always like DM us, collab with us, which is like annoying. But I actually did reach out to like a thrift store locally here, and now I'm gonna be like a resale representative for them. So it worked in that aspect. But what scares me is what if, so I have like, it's not like super inappropriate, I'm not like showing anything bad, but I have like swimsuit pictures on here. Would that be like bad for like a different type of employer?
That is such a good question. And it's hard to answer because I would say no. If you know, especially if you're posting things in a context of this, you know, I'm working as somebody who's selling things via thrift stores, I'm thrifting, I'm selling them, you're doing resale, and you're kind of branding yourself as this person. And fashion, you know, that I don't think that in the world of fashion, a swimsuit photo is inappropriate, taken in, you know, the context of all that. But you may also have people who don't agree with that and say, yeah, a swimsuit photo on Instagram, I don't want. But on a personal account, I don't know. I don't have a great answer for you. That's such a tricky thing. It might depend. It would depend on the employer. I didn't mention this to you guys because it slipped my mind, but my husband used to work in an art gallery, and he has, it's a fine art gallery, and he has tattoos, and his boss hated them and made him always cover them up, which always surprised us because you would think, oh, a woman who owns an art gallery, she would not have any cares about tattoos. And she was like, nope, not in my gallery. So you never know. That's kind of, I know that's not a great question. If you're concerned about it and are at all uncomfortable, then I would make them private, because don't put something, even if you're like, oh, I just don't know, I'm just a little uncomfortable, don't make yourself uncomfortable. Pull them off then. That's a good question. I'm glad that you're doing that. And it's a great way to use like social media, I think, for something that like that you're doing is fantastic. And you can link to your Etsy shop, you can link to eBay, you can link to, you know, whatever, and you can really get yourself out there.
I mean, I imagine too that it's ever evolving. So, you know, this year you're totally into reselling clothes and your bikini pictures are appropriate. And also I think that there are better ways to present in a bikini in a photo than others. So maybe not necessarily so much the bikini, but what are you doing or how are you posing in said bikini? But that also maybe in a couple of years, you know, you might suddenly decide, oh, snap, I'm going into law school and now these bikini pictures aren't serving me. So I feel like it's like anything, you just kind of overhaul and you market yourself according to whatever you're going for in that moment. You'll just sweep through your social media and adjust, or like Laura said, make private.
Yep, that's absolutely smart. Doing it. See, like that's a picture of you and your friend. You guys look so happy. That's just like a nice picture. There's nothing inappropriate about that. Yeah, but I know what you mean. It's like, oh, if somebody saw that. Are there ways, I know there are ways to make a story visible only to, or you can like hide it from some people on Instagram. Is there a way to make a post private? No, there's not. Okay. Yeah, I think Leslie, what you said, that's a good idea.
I changed my profile picture.
You did already? You're so fast. I love that. Look at that.
That's what I was like, you see me looking down, I'm like trying to. take the knowledge in real time.
What else? Is anybody looking for a job right now? No. Good. I'm glad. Just focus on school. Stay in school for the rest of your lives. What are you all studying? Ashley, you said Lake Forest College. Gabby, you said Southern or ISU. What are you guys going for?
Communications degree.
Wonderful.
Yeah, because I feel like that you can do so much stuff with that.
You can.
Mainly in business, but I mean.
Good. It's a great foundation for anything you want to do. Really. I mean, everybody needs to know how to speak, write, communicate professionally with other people in groups, one-on-one. That's smart. Franklin, get the PhD. Honestly, the communications degree, if you do decide to go to law school, if you do decide to get a PhD, if you do decide to get a master's in whatever, counseling, marketing, science, I don't know. Would you be a doctor? Maybe not. I don't know.
Probably not. If I could afford it, if I could go to school for free, I would do it. Like it's not like about, because I love school. I love learning new stuff. It's not about that. Some people are just like, I just need to do it. I'm here to do it so I can get a job. You know, that's not it for me.
So then maybe the PhD is kind of perfect for you. You can get, exactly, you could get fellowships, you can get people to sponsor you. So you should just stay in school forever.
Hopefully, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, what you do is go get your bachelor's degree, get your master's degree and your PhD, and then come back to MCC and teach for us. And then you're in school forever.
No.
I love that you were like considering it for a second. You're like, no.
No, I want to live in a city. I love Woodstock. I've lived in Woodstock since I don't even know when. I think since 2007. And I don't like the corn. I don't want to see corn for a while.
I get it.
Go to MCC, it's corn. I'm tired of it.
Go to Chicago.
Yeah, I want to go to a big movie theater with like, you know, the reclining seats and they serve you pizza. It's 2020. I can't do this anymore.
Oh my God, I would be happy with any movie theater right now.
I know. Is everybody, are you guys doing okay this semester? Because the semester's almost over. Is everything going okay? Yeah.
Academically, yes.
Okay,
Mentally,
good.
Socially,
yes. No, and that's not a surprise. And yes, you're absolutely right. And it's so crummy. I wish it were better, but it is. Everybody's just like, you guys are, I know you're drained. You're tired. You need a break.
I don't even think I know how to socialize anymore.
I don't know.
You go outside, people are like, hi. I couldn't even speak to the Starbucks guy the other day. He was like, Ashley, and I was like, yes. Like,
what do you want?
Yeah.
Like coffee.
Oh my gosh, Ashley, you need to come to a student government meeting. Gabby and I are going to put together a hot chocolate event where you show up with your own hot chocolate, and then maybe we talk about our favorite holiday stories or favorite gifts that we just to socialize.
I'm so down. I already know, we know each other too. You can send me all that.
All right, cool.
I'll put my email in here really fast.
And Gabby, I think you are one of our Education to Empowerment students. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes.
Good job. Way to go.
Thank you. I was so excited. I cried when they called me. I legitimately was like,
it's huge. That's a huge
deal. I don't know
deal.
who called me on the phone, but I was like, oh my God, thank you. I was like, oh my goodness. Good for you.
Good for you. That's a big deal. You should be really proud.
Thank you.
Wait, I want to know what that is, Gabby.
So it's a scholarship. It's a $10,000 scholarship. So it covered my last year of MCC and $6,000 to a transfer school, and it's all like run by women, and you get a mentor, and you get to like bounce questions off them. It's really awesome.
Ooh, I want to know more about that.
It's
it's probably too late.
I know they're
every
doing
year.
every year. They do it every year. So it's in the applications the same as the like general scholarship. You apply for the general one, and then it lets you see like all the additional ones, and then you just go to education empowerment. I think it's like an additional like 3 more essays, but it's totally worth it.
Here, I'm putting the link in the chat for everybody.
Thank you.
It's a great scholarship.